What's up, tea drinkers? Who's ready to spill? Welcome to The Tea with KG, hosted by your girl, Kaylee Grace. Here you'll find your weekly boost of real talk mixed with laughter, healing, and all of those vulnerable, messy moments in between. The Tea with KG is a safe space for you to show up exactly as you are. We are here to share real-life stories from around the globe and be a community of love, joy, and celebrating life. This is a real deal show, so there will be coarse language and sensitive topics discussed. The most beautiful stories oftentimes emerge from the darkest of places, and we're here to explore it all. There's room for everyone at this tea time, so grab your drink of choice, spark it up, or just relax and soak it up. Cheers, and let's spill. What's up, tea drinkers? Welcome back to another episode of The Tea with KG. Today, we are going to be talking about regret. Yes, this is a big one in life. So I've been reading an amazing book by Brene Brown. It's called Atlas of the Heart. If anyone has not heard of Brene Brown, I strongly recommend checking her out. She's absolutely amazing, has really great teachings and insights into so many things, and she's just an amazing, incredible lady. That being said, when I was reading this book, dun dun dun, I disagreed with Brene Brown. Now, hear me out before you come for me. I think that when we read information and learn new things, it's okay to sometimes maybe disagree with what we're reading or have a different viewpoint, because that is how we expand even further in what we're learning and like how we view life. So in this book, she has a section and it's on regret. So I was like, cool, like I'm excited to see what she has to say about this part of life. Now, one of the things that she has said is that if you like live with no regrets, or you have that idea of no regrets, she thinks that it means you're living without reflection, and that you believe that we have nothing to learn, no amends to make, no opportunity to be braver with our lives. And I don't agree. I do not agree. I think because in my life, I have said those words that I try to not live with regrets. But I believe that the way I interpret that word and how I associate it to my life is different than what she's saying, because we'll get into it. We're going to get into it, tea drinkers. So when I think of life and regrets, I look back and immediately I always think about the bad things that have happened to me, not the things that I have done. So, we've all been through some things in life that have cut us deep, have hurt us, have, sorry, my dog is moving around. Sorry if you can hear him. He's getting comfy here as we get into this episode. But as we go through life, there are things that happen to us. There are traumas, there's hurtful things. And I've always said that, I don't regret certain situations in my life because I learned from them. I grew from them, which is the whole point. She's trying to say, you're living without regrets, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not taking accountability. And I highly disagree with that, because in, those instances in life where things have happened to me, I take the route of growth, not the route of, self-destruction or victimhood or pity. Now, when I was trying to put my thoughts in place for this episode and really dive into what she was trying to get across with what she was saying, I tried to reflect on it in that way. I was like, okay, let's take a step back and look at it on the flip side. Because another thing she says in the book is, with regret, we believe the outcome was caused by our decisions or actions. And she tries to put the flip side and say, with disappointment is when it's stuff that was out of our control. So I never really viewed it in that way. And that's just me. And it's not saying that what she's saying it's wrong. It's not saying what I'm saying is wrong. It's just interesting when you look at the words we choose to use in life and how we view different feelings. So when I look at my own actions in life, absolutely I do not relish in the fact that I've ever done or said something that may have hurt someone's feelings. So I guess you could say, absolutely, I regret ever having unintentionally hurt someone by something I said or did. None of us want to hurt people, or I certainly don't. That's like the worst thing in the world to me, if I hurt someone's feelings or if I make someone feel bad. And it's never intentionally, because I don't live my life like that. I like being good to people and trying to move forward in life with my best foot forward. I think anyone who wants to intentionally harm another, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. Going to keep it real there. That's just not the tea. That's not cool. That's not how, I choose to live my life. So when I look back, absolutely, I don't feel good about any of those moments, because we're all human. Every single one of us has said or done something that we wish we didn't at some point in our lives. And maybe it's the way I associate the word regret. Like, for me, if I call it this, I say I have a really bad guilty conscience. So any time in my life, if I had ever done or said something that hurt someone's feelings, I can obsess about it, and it can consume me. It can completely derail my life, and it's just not good. It's not healthy. So I feel like there's like a fine line. It depends how you're wired, right? Like, it depends how your brain works. For me, the thought of doing something wrong or hurting someone or anything like that, that will cause me to go into like a tailspin. I will let myself just completely derail my life, just feeling so terrible about whatever I said or did. And like I said, that's not healthy either. Like, it depends how your brain is wired. It depends how you move, how you work. And that's why in life, I feel that I try to not regret things, because I know for how I work, if I live in regret, I will be living in a state of having those thoughts consume me. And so we have to find what's healthy, right? We can't just sit there and regret all these things we did, because that's not healthy either. But I 1000% agree with how she's saying that we have to take accountability for our actions. We have to, learn and make amends and all of those things. And something she said was, one of the reasons we may avoid regret is that it's accompanied with an element of self-blame or even guilt. So, of course it is. And if you're someone like me who will obsess about that, then you have to find a way to make it healthy. So you have to take accountability, say sorry where you need to, apologize to whoever if that's what's going on, and find a way to release that feelings of like shame and guilt and move forward. And so I'm not a religious person, but I'm very, very spiritual. But I was raised Catholic, and there's a lot of teachings there that I do not agree with. I think with religion, it's one of those things. I think there's beautiful teachings that we can pull from so many different types of religions, like Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity. There's so many things that have great teachings. But in an overall sense, I just feel like I'm very spiritual. We won't go into all that this episode. But anyways, was raised Catholic. And some of the key things with Catholic is shame and guilt. If you do something bad, you best believe you're going to pay for it. Like, it's not, that's just how that's wired. And anyone else who is Catholic can probably relate to that. So maybe it's because that was so embedded in me from that type of religion. I just feel like that guilt can just be so all-consuming for me at times. Because, like when I look back, like I can remember moments of like, maybe saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. When you're young, you're learning. And, feeling horrible about it, because that's just how I'm wired. I like to be good to people and be kind, and just, that's just me. So when I look back, I can think of those times where I felt so terrible, and like would say sorry and just own my shit. And then you'd have people sometimes on the flip side be like, yeah, well, you should be sorry. And that is so unhealthy as well. Like, that is just not, it's not okay to say that to someone. It's like, no, it's like, okay, they're being vulnerable and apologizing for whatever they said or did. I mean, you don't have to accept anyone's apology if you don't want to, but like, you also don't have to tell them they should or should not do or feel anything. Like that's just not healthy either. Which again, and that would make someone feel even worse, or made me feel even worse. I'm like, what? Like, I know how bad it is. And like, you don't understand what's going on inside my brain right now. It's like turmoil. It's like the worst feelings in the world. So, you have to also say your sorries, do what you got to do, make your amends and learn, and also not let what's going on the flip side derail you even further. Because as long as you know what you've said or done and you're making amends for it, you're growing from it, you're learning from it, that's what matters, because you're choosing to be a better person, to put your best foot forward, to own your shit, and to move forward. So that's a great thing. And don't be too, or I guess try not to be too upset if someone meets you with not the best response, because at the end of the day, that's on them. And people are definitely entitled to their feelings. If it causes them to be rude or mean, that's not cool, but that just shows you where they're at with their level of growth. And the fact that you can own your shit and apologize, that shows you where you're at with yours. And that is a beautiful thing, to be able to own it and move forward. I actually have so much respect for people who own their shit. Like anyone in my life who's wronged me or did something not cool, hurt me or whatever, when they can come to me, and it doesn't even matter how much time has passed, I've had people be very, very mean to me and just rip me to shreds. And like a year later, after a lot of therapy on their end and all those things, they came to me and they apologized for what they did. And I honestly have nothing but respect for that, because it's a brave, brave thing to do. It shows their growth. It shows that they're trying to heal and make amends and be better. And I mean, why would you have anything but a gracious response towards that? And I can remember just being like, oh my gosh, like I appreciate this so much. I'm so happy that, you're healing and you're dealing with your stuff. Like it was a great thing. And it was just nothing but appreciation on my end. So, if you're having moments in life, no matter which side of the table you're on, if someone's coming to you and apologizing for their stuff, you don't have to let them back in their life. If they've done something, if they're toxic and they don't bring out good parts of you, you are absolutely entitled to implement a boundary, but you don't need to hang on to any of that, not forgiving people and because it's just weighing you down. At the end of the day, with everything, we have to release. Own it, make amends, and then you have to release. And it might not be overnight. It might not be a quick release, but at least have that intention. Because once you release, you can finally move forward with your life into the better parts of it. And, when you know better, you do better. And it doesn't mean you'll always be perfect, because again, this is life. This is a human experience. This is why we're here. Our souls are here to learn lessons and to figure out whatever it is we're meant to do here. What's your soul purpose? And part of that is making mistakes, being a human. We have gorgeous, beautiful souls inside of us, but we're still in a human body. We're still going to do things and say things that we need to grow and learn from. And that's just the tea. That's just life. That's just what's up. So, move with good intentions. And I believe that even if you do make mistakes, it's an opportunity for growth and for learning. And I guess coming back to our topic with regrets, and I have the book right open in front of me as I'm talking, because I just wanted to make sure I could pull from it where I needed to with what we're talking about and how I disagree. But I think what she's trying to say, and maybe it's just the way she worded it, it was my initial reaction. I was like, no, don't like this, don't agree. But I do agree with, I think the point she's trying to get across is don't sail through life and do shitty things or, not be the kindest or whatever the case may be, and just think everything's fine and that you didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to deal with it. Because no, that's not healthy either. But you don't have to live in a state of constant regret where it consumes you and where you feel bad all the time, because that's not good either. It's one of those things like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. And then move forward, apologize, do what you got to do, and move forward. And staying in places that we don't belong, and I don't mean that physically, I mean that in a mental way right now. And I've said it in different ways before, but right now I mean mentally. Like, you can't let yourself obsess and stay swirling on this loop. Like, I'm guilty of it myself. So that's why I'm trying to say these things as hope that if anyone is wired like me, where if, something bad happens, it's like a loop in your brain and you can't escape it. And it's just this horrible guilt, shame-filled loop that you're watching on repeat. You have to press the stop button, hit the eject button, and release that, because it's also not serving you to just constantly be feeling bad about something, And some people maybe want you to continuously feel bad about something you said or did, but that's not healthy, and that's not showing growth on their side either. So just remember that when you're going through life. One of the other parts she kind of mentions here with regret is that it can be in 6 categories: education, career, romance, parenting, self-improvement, and leisure. For me, as you can probably tell from most of this episode, I generally associate the word regret with things that you may have said or done that have hurt somebody. So self-improvement would be a big one for me. When it comes to education, career, romance, that kind of thing, that, again, I don't regret, because I truly believe that whatever your divine path is, you're going to follow it. And it may not look like what you thought it was going to look like. And, we could sit here and look back. And of course, I'm like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I didn't go to university and didn't move to Australia right after. Like, where would I be in the career aspect of my life or the financial aspect? And sometimes, you play that card where you're like, oh man, if I had just jumped right into the corporate world right after university, I may be in this place when it comes to career. But I don't regret it, because when I look at the valuable experience I gained from Australia and the people I met and all those things, it was worth it. And even coming back home from there and moving back to New Brunswick and getting into the most toxic, abusive relationship of my life, I still don't regret that, because I learned so freaking much from it. It catapulted me into a deep dive of healing and, being better to myself, and which in turn makes me better for the world, and just owning my light and not allowing myself to get derailed off my path, and just finding myself again. And, getting out of that relationship led me to a different relationship that was, again, such a great learning experience. And that's the thing, things happen, and that's just life. And as challenging as it can be, we have to navigate that and learn, how do we want to move? How do you want to show up in the world? What's the impact you want to leave? It doesn't matter how big or small you may view that impact. It's still impact. You're still leaving your mark. And you got to where you're at right now for a reason. No regrets or no regrets. You're here, you're where you're at, and the only thing you have control of now is how you move forward. We can't sit here and dwell on the past and regret things and feel bad about them constantly. If you haven't owned certain things and made amends and moved forward, yeah, maybe take a second and sit there and reflect. And if there is people in your life you want to reach out to and apologize and make amends, go for it. Do it. It might help you release those feelings if you are feeling any guilt about anything you've said or done. But when it comes to education, career, that kind of thing, all you have is now. It's never too late to make a change. And, you're never too old to start a different career path or go to school and study something you've always wanted to study. It's never, never, never too late. So in that aspect, I'm don't regret the things that have happened or not happened in your life. You can still live bravely and take action and, put your best foot forward. So yeah, those are my thoughts on regret. And I feel again, it's just how I associate that word, because technically as I'm speaking, I'm sure that the different terminologies I've used could translate into regret. Like they could be synonymous with regret. But it's just that word. I don't know what it is. It just feels so like, it feels like you haven't let go when I think of that. It almost feels like you're still dwelling on that thing in the past to me. And, I'm not going to say anyone's right or wrong on how they view it. Maybe I am not viewing it in the right way. But I do think certain things are open to interpretation as well. And at the end of the day, as long as you own your shit and move forward in a good way and try and be the best person you can be to yourself, to others, to animals, to Mother Earth, then you're doing it right. And just don't beat yourself up too much, when you make mistakes. And I say when because we're humans and we are all going to make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. And that is just how we learn. That's how we grow. Those mistakes aren't there to punish us. If you're like me, you could punish yourself your entire life inside your head and maybe people wouldn't know, but and that's, again, like I said, it's not healthy either. So we have to find a way to feel what we feel, look at what we've done, and move forward and just be a good human. So that's tea time for today, y'all. This was a bit of a shorter episode, but I feel like we had some great conversation. I hope this resonated with some people, and I am just so happy to have you all join me as always. I can't wait for our episodes we have coming up. We've got some amazing, amazing guests booked in. There's lots and lots of new faces you guys are going to get to connect with, and I can't wait to share their light with you. We also have some repeat guests because we've had some people on that you have absolutely loved. So we are definitely going to be having them on again for future episodes. So I just want to thank you all again for integrating your beautiful energy into this podcast or YouTube channel, wherever you happen to be consuming it. And I'm wishing you love and light as you take on the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, whatever time it is from wherever you're tuning in. And I just love all y'all. That's tea time. See you next time.